Welcome back once again. Shift, Fox, we're not going to try to play around with any mixed names because that...
Mush, mush.
Looking at you right now. Good to have you guys back. We've got Fnatic and Envy going up in this, what will essentially be the 4th place match, as this is our losers semifinals coming up. It will be a best of 3, which is, again, going to feel really short, I think, overall. But
Pretty
my
short.
goodness.
As short as Fernando's legs in that last point fight.
That feels real bad. But let's get to Fnatic. They've, of course, already played once today. We saw them going up earlier, and my goodness, they're starting to look like the team that started off this LAN so successfully. Of course, having gone through Na'Vi very, I won't say easily, but handedly, and then dropping to G2 in the PPL finals. Of course, looking for redemption. We know, Vox, in the past, how much these guys hate losing and not having walked away from even one championship of a full LAN.
You know, there's a lot of pressure on many members of Fnatic right now, especially players like Isbitner, who's been one of the real stars of the team, one of the major DPS components of this squad for a while now, and has been performing very well through LAN so far. For me, though, the pressure rides on Feel more than anybody else. He's been critically the weak link in a lot of situations where Fnatic's played and has lost, and doesn't seem to be able to recover very well mentally from tilting situations. If Fnatic are able to solve that, then they might have the opportunity to bounce back if they take an early spill, but if they don't, they're going to have to rely on riding on momentum.
And again, momentum, when you're getting all these big damage dealers behind the front line, can really come quickly, and it can spread like wildfire as well. But on the opposite side, you know, more traditionally staying around the double tank, Envy have looked very, I will say, a little wishy-washy when it comes to running triple DPS. So of course, little moments of brilliance here and there. But why don't we get more of an inside look to see what Envy had to say coming up to this matchup?
Standing here with 2 different representatives from Team Envious as we continue the hunt for the culprit of the dishwasher overload here. Rumors are swirling around Rubu. Now fingers are being pointed at Random Noob. Care to comment as the man who started the Twitter poll?
Well, when I made the poll, one, I had to not include Tolkien because apparently you can only put 4 options on Twitter. But I knew Rubu was going to be the prime target for the votes because he's just such a little goober, dude. You know, that's something he would do.
So who was all at the scene of the crime when you guys entered and ultimately saw the dishwasher?
I left. Well, did you leave with me? No, I left and I came back and
Who's
they
got
were.
an alibi?
It was me and Tolkien are the only 2 with alibis.
Okay.
I left and came back and they were like, no, something went wrong. You'll never guess what happened. But we got a maintenance guy to come. But they put some salt in there apparently. I don't know, weird.
Was it just an issue of not knowing that dish soap doesn't compute with the dishwasher?
Yeah, whoever it may be, just had no idea. Wasn't me, you know. But their exact quote was, yeah, I just put soap in there until it was full.
And when I left, I totally knew it was going to happen. I was looking at him over by the dishwasher, and I was like, do they know what detergent is?
Yeah, y'all
And
y'all will find out on
wrong.
Twitter later. I'm not exposing
I actually already revealed it on Twitter.
Oh, word?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they revealed it in the last interview.
It was
right?
random.
Yeah, it was random.
Did it.
The big baby.
These are the things you learn at LAN, exactly what soap is used for what.
Yeah.
But taking it to the note of the games, I know you want to clean up the competition. And as far as bringing the Willow in, we saw doing really well during that last set. And is some of this a response knowing that the Drogos isn't going to be available as much, being banned away, working on these other blaster potentials?
Definitely. You know, Willow kind of fills the role for the blaster that we've always played back when we used to run demo BK, you know, just punish the point tank, really make life horrible. Even if you're down a man, you could throw that dead zone on point and it forces them off of it. It just fills an awesome utility role.
So you guys are one of really the only couple of teams that have pulled Pip out. Fnatic have brought it out today, and it's looked great. Do you expect that to be a highly contested pick in this set?
Pip's just basically, if there's no other good blasters up, you just go Pip.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be contested unless we see 2 or more blaster bans. If we do see that many blaster bans for some reason, then it will definitely be contested. But Pip has his place. He's solid.
How are you guys feeling about the draft in that G2 Fnatic set on the Frog Isle game? In particular, when Buck was left open, Cassie was open, what would you have done differently?
I mean, the fact that Fnatic got Furia and then Koa Drogue in their second phase, they just got pretty much the 3 best champions in the game in their first 3 picks. So I was a little bit surprised by it. I mean, but G2 can do that thing where they just pick random things that just pop off and get a win. But I don't think you'll see us let those 3 go to Fnatic.
I feel like Leon Willow's good, but not on Frog.
We're very excited to see what happens in this set, so thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of insight into the draft, a lot of insight into how dishwashers work. Some relevant, some not. Well,
you know, I didn't think I'd hear this much dishwasher talk on a live esports broadcast, especially from Skillshot Media and Higher Studios ever since we're not on Smite. We're not talking about Xing Tian. Shout out to Husey, by the way, wherever he might be right now.
Machine.
Absolutely.
Shout-outs to Husey. But this is a really interesting set. I mean, I think when you saw yesterday Envy in the winner's bracket when they lost, you know, kind of talking with Tolkien and them earlier this morning, they were like, wow, you guys actually caught that we were trapped in the draft?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we caught it, my dude.
We can see it going through. You guys have a few big holes, and if we're catching it, other teams certainly are, and then they're weaponizing that more than anything else. It's interesting to see right now Fnatic ban out Stone Keep here. That's a curious one for me. Team Envy banning out Fish Market as well, Scrim Strat somewhere in here, and Serpent Beach starts us off very neutrally. But Stone Keep, that's been a Fnatic map.
It has been, but at the same point, you know, it's a best of 3. I think you kind of want to put yourself in a spot where you feel most comfortable in this tournament. And Fnatic, you know, they kind of got beat up a little bit earlier on Stone Keep. They didn't look naturally themselves, so maybe they're just not feeling the sauce right now on Stone Keep. They will have first pick coming into Serpent Beach.
What kind of sauce shift?
Steak sauce.
Steak sauce?
Yes.
All right, we got to be careful. We're going to go to
sauce.
Ranch if Fnatic take a spill here. Nobody wants to go there. Lian ban first of all. Genos from Envy though, looking to target the supports right now. I'm interested to see if Envy might go for a double support ban here and force some diversity, which we haven't seen a great deal of so far.
Yeah. Besides
Envy's composition on Stone Keep actually, where they ran this Grover.
Yeah, the other side of things with this Genos ban, I think this is Envy kind of recognizing that when Fnatic does run solo front 3 DPS, it's usually Genos behind the helm helping enable that. Willow being taken away as well, so we might be getting some hot frontline gameplay, a little battle of the trenches. But this is going to be the interesting ban. Does Envy decide to take away another support, or do they want to take away, you know, the enabling power of a Makoa or a Khan? It's going to be the Drogos actually instead. Again, they said it in the interview.
Right.
One of the top 3 picks or bans, I guess, this tournament. As you
So
look at it.
Fnatic have the opportunity to draft a Fury here. They can grab the Khan if they want to, which Fnatic have really revolved their draft around on certain maps previously just to use that as a deletion opportunity. But Serpent Beach, typically people will play around the high ground, not near the water's edge, because it's so dangerous. It's very, very easy to be punted in there by maybe a disengage or the like. Furia first lock in, then gives Fnatic a nice base for a double frontline composition here with your ability to heal so consistently.
Absolutely, and it's not just consistently, but also at a very generous rate too, as far as how much is coming back. Makoa Buck, wow, that's a very strong start for Envy.
It is.
Especially when it comes to Makoa being able to potentially pull people from the high ground down.
But it's tough because you're drafting an early Buck. This allows Fnatic to get a hold of maybe a Khan Barrack here or a Khan Fernando, and Envy's Buck has just looked underwhelming.
It's
Straight
very
up.
true.
It's in the hands of Tolkien, it wasn't the best pick that we've seen by a long shot, and even in the hands of Random Noob, which did start to come into play on Brightmarsh a lot more, it wasn't quite the showstopper that we're used to seeing him on if he's playing a bow champion, for example.
Speaking of bow champions, Cassie currently hovered over in one of the better responses to Buck, just because of the blow-up potential, but also we talked about it, that kinetics level 5 is just such big in-hand cauterize that can come out very quickly.
And big in-hand damage when you pair Khan with Cassie as well. If you're playing it
Very much
around,
so.
if you have that battle shout and the firing line buff that comes with it, if that's the talent selected, Cassie's swinging for a great deal of damage. Easy to burn through frontline, backline, everybody alike.
Yeah, it just comes down to whatever openings they can find, to be completely honest. And Khan can be a wrecking ball, especially with that damage boost. And of course, the damage reduction on the battle shout, it can really just out of nowhere, you get all this extra damage and you kind of have to react in a very immediate tone, which is going to come down to Makoa by himself so far, but Fernando offered up as a potential second front line and then locked in. Makoa and Fernando, I mean, two of the biggest staples in all of history when it comes to frontline presence in Paladins. Both of them together, it's a very dangerous combo.
It is. It's a lot of kill threshold, but speaking of wrecking balls, Shift, is there a better one in-game than Bomb King for blasting apart opposition?
It's the zone control, too. The Grumpy Bomb that can come out, the ability to kind of disrupt people with a Poppy Bomb aggressively. There's so much things that Bomb King brings to the table that it's really hard to turn him aside, especially with a map that he can be mostly using the high ground to throw bombs down onto people.
So I'm expecting Fnatic to go for, they go for the Inara here. They still have point tank, and I was wondering if they might go for maybe the Barrack. That's been the flavor pick here for them so far, but Inara is safer, and I feel is a little bit less vulnerable in the hands of Thiel. He performed very well with that at the last LAN that came on through, and I'm excited to see if that can come out again. And Maldamba for Team Envy, double front line, supported by but Kono's chosen here. A lot of healing throughput potential, not a lot of inbuilt anti-heal for either squad,
Right.
especially with the Leon and Willow bans on the table.
You know, the big question mark for me comes down to, will the Khan be able to enable the Zin as much as a Genos would?
Dirty flank combo.
It is, especially if they run together, which is what we see a lot of people do. That's where I'm going to kind of keep my eyes is, can the Zin stick with the Khan, at least in the initiation? Past that, obviously, it's a different story, as Fury will be the one that needs to look at them. But this is a really big draft for Fnatic. I think this is probably one of the more Koa-centric, kind of in-the-middle control side of things for the OBJ that Fnatic has drafted yet in this tournament. Do you think that they're going to be able to pull this off?
I think the Fnatic have the easier draft here. Their win conditions are lower in threshold than Team Envy's, which is really, does the Buck succeed?
All right. Question has been posed. We'll send it over to the casting booth to see what answers will be provided.
Thanks, Alan and Vox. Rain Day and Pretty Hair here with the cast for what will be our last set of the day, and a best of 3 that will decide the fates of many fans around the world, many players we all know and adore. Nick, who do you got going into this?
I mean, I definitely hear what Vox is saying in terms of the Buck is going to be hard to pull off, but I feel like they have so much to spearhead all of these engagements with the Fernando and the Bomb King. It's one of my favorite combos in the business, and Makoa is so good on his own. I think if Rock Monkey can find the holes, then he's a good enough player to be able to do that. He'll be just fine.
A little bit of an interesting loadout card here at a level 2 for Bugsy Life Taker. A lot of players maybe just not having open fire or Life Taker in their loadouts, but at level 2s, you can expect they're not playing the biggest role, Never Surrender. Into the breach, do that. Fisheko and his Bittner do the other things. 5-2 kills early on Envy.
Random Noob falling very low as well, and Mr. Hayes just gets rolled over. Random Noob caught under the patio there, crawling around, taken down, and more kills go the way of young Bittner.
42% counting now for Fnatic. Envy losing that start. Very, very hard. But they still have just another chance at it. It will be 75% counting, though. So they've got to touch the point quickly. Fisheko doing a great job of distracting and goes into the Billow Nick unharmed.
96% now for Fnatic working in.
Wow.
It's going to go quietly into that good night. Envy not able to get there to touch in time. Can we take a quick look at the talent screen? I haven't gotten a chance to see if it's Yomi yet or Spite. I guess that'll answer the question. That looked like a pretty base Spite there anyway. It is going to be Yomi coming through for young Fishy. There was definitely some question in my mind as to whether or not he'd go Guillotine or not with the Fernando, with the Leviathan Makoa, as well as Buck is a more than worthy target of that.
Absolutely. You have to say a lot of reason to go either, but Yomi is very consistent. We've seen Fisheko utilize that throughout this tournament. Counter available, and the Billow and that movement skill, whirl, and counter have been so clutch at keeping Zins on the European side alive at least, but as Bittner trades one with Tolkien, it'll be
maintained that. I don't know if they thought he maintained that high ground there. He kind of just tucks behind the corner in his Billow. They probably all thought he jumped off, gets a heal, and Fisheko is good for 2 more on the high ground. And the Inflame as well will come out. Really just no signs of life out of Envy in this first round.
It feels like they've just not woken up yet, and it's very interesting. You see Rock Monkey kind of getting traded on against the Cassie that he would oft prefer. And you look at him getting a bow character, didn't happen this time around. So we have some adjusting to do, especially with this overpower sending Makoa off the edge, but Ruba makes it back in. Void Grip again, excuse me, Commander's Grab, but it will not do enough. Rubu still alive and ticking. That is what I call a save.
I mean, that has got to be something that breathes life back into your team fight there.
Oh, yeah.
Fire Strike, not very consequential. They know where Gera is.
That was huge.
And in 2 seconds, they'll have a way to get him. That's why when you overpower people, you want to, if you can, try and dunk them down into the kill volume and don't really mess around with the opportunity for them to use their mobility skill to get back onto the map.
When Koga comes out, he doesn't seem like a good target to overpower. Dashing 3 times perfectly horizontally, that's probably not going to work out well. But hey, ninjas don't necessarily need to swim. Just need to do damage, as well as Rock Monkey here, who's the DPS.
I thought you said Koa
instead
of Koga, and
no,
I was
Koga.
like, thank you. I couldn't.
What's the reference here?
Boy, I was lost.
Yeah.
But now I'm found.
Now you're found. And it's all going down here. 10 seconds left. Envy have, like you said, Nick, just responded so much. It's a completely different team. And you could see the energy shift the second that happened. It was this exciting moment. And all of a sudden, you know, they're defending 1-1. And they got a fresh start at this, which beforehand looked like an easy Fnatic 2-0.
You know, obviously both of these teams playing sets already today, so they're both as warm as you could imagine, but obviously you got to give Fnatic the more difficult of those two. They had a great set between G2, was just a best of 3, like this one, and they were really pushed to their limit in that one. I feel like they learned a lot about themselves, about this tournament in that set. They woke up on the pit pick as well, which we haven't seen yet, but definitely one you want to keep an eye out for. Envy, I don't know how much they were pressed in that set against Clown Fiesta earlier.
And that's, you know, a very important thing to remember. The quality of competition will set the stage for what you expect heading into your next matchup, no matter how much credit you give the other team. It's just a matter of having done it versus having to step your way up through it. Maybe that round was Envy realizing this is no Clown Fiesta here. The only Clown Fiesta might have been the North Americans in that one, but Fsheko continuing the onslaught.
I gotta say, Fsheko's Zin has been really impressive to me this tournament, especially even considering a lot of the times he doesn't have a Genos backing him up. He's had to do a lot on his own, a lot as a lone wolf. Stone Keep yesterday comes to mind as well. He's been very, very impressive. Bittner and Fsheko both have stepped up greater than any other event prior.
And finally, you see Rock Monkey get on the board. If you take a look at the KDAs, that might have been one of his first couple of kills here, Nick.
He got a couple in the first round, but you're right, he's been relatively quiet.
It's been a very, very slow round for them. And if we do bring up the kills or the deaths, the assists, we may be able to see exactly where Envy and Fnatic are stacking up.
Buck's just not been a massive pick for North America all around. When you really look at it, it's like G2 and Envy, they want to take it, but it's like they don't know what to do with it when they get it sometimes.
And look at this. Do you think he's going to make the same mistake twice? I don't think so.
Gotta get them angles, baby.
Bugsy finds the angle of the dangle, and he ends up helping to cement Rubu's death this time around. King Bomb lined up. Is he going to pop it? Yeah,
he got countered.
He got countered there by the Zen. Unfortunate.
Wow, Fsheko's reaction times today. That's 2 ultimates, Evan, that he just neutered
and
with the base
kit.
kit.
And a healer. No problems. I mean, this Zen, to me, has proven to be
value.
78% now and counting for Fnatic, clear control. This Zen has proven to me to be the most pivotal champion in determining today's success rates. When you have a Zen that is performing at this level, it's nearly unstoppable.
Holy crap, and remember, a best of 3 set here. A lot of momentum for Fnatic out of the gate. They get their youngsters off to a really good start on champions that they're comfortable with. Things are looking good for Fnatic here, but Envy, not out of it yet. Not even close.
A lot better than Envy touched the point this time around, though.
Sure.
I think that's just a step in the right direction. Hey, guys, we're moving. Meta Pusher's got a lot to talk about here, but can't say much mid-game. Has to see if he can regroup with his team after they hopefully do something differently. Bugsy, it looked funny, but just resetting. Fnatic pros at that specifically. When they know something's bad, they just don't waste any time.
They get to go home now and spend those credits that they earned from capturing the payload. So you'll start to see some of the level 3 offensives come through now for Fishy, as well as Bugsy and Bittner. Thiel's already hit the Rejuve 3 mark on Inara. With a Furia behind you, that is big news.
And that's a Smite. I'm not sure if it connects.
Just a mobility spike.
And it just gets to the top. Force the counter already. That's a great shot by Rock Monkey. Sends his Bittner into the dust. Bittner been getting the better a little bit of Rock Monkey there. So Rock Monkey with a double kill. Random Noob adding his name to the kill feed as well. Looking maybe like a second for him. And an overall 4th and 5th for Envy. That's a full wipe onto Fnatic. So a very stable hole with a minute left.
Let's take a look at some damage numbers. Let's take a look at some kill-death ratios here. 65,000 damage out in front. Sits the king here, so a good game from Random Noob nonetheless. 12-3 Rock Monkey finding his way to the back line time and time again. It's almost like, at least in my perception of it, it feels like every time you forget about him, that's when he comes through with a double kill. You're kind of like, where is Buck, by the way?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes them so dangerous. I mean, that's the Mutu, the creatives quality, where they sit on their mount and you just don't know when they're showing up until they know they can kill you. That's what they say FRZ God is so good on Space Station Gaming. And Mr. Hayes finding a kill on Dejera, that was because of Rock Monkey's pressure, pushing them in to the rest of the Envy squad. But Fnatic, 90% of the way, Nick, to pushing this one through.
And this is a big decision now. Ultimates look like they're coming out from Envy. Off the top rope, Noob runs straight into a Mother's Grace. Inara gets nothing done there except for some damage, and he's going to lose his life for it.
And you know what, Cherish? It's amazing. But it is not the same as an Earthen Guard, Inara with a Maldamba, constantly keeping her up with Gordon and the Mending Spirits. That is not the same level of survivability that we've witnessed, and just a ton of damage and focus from Team Envy says, we're not done yet. 2-2 heading into round 3.
Big headshots there. Headshots are what's going to set a simple character like Buck apart. That hook. At this level of play, there's a little stun before and a little stun after, and that's enough lockdown for Rock, as you can see, to hit 2 shots there. That's a lot of free damage off the back of the Dredge Anchor.
Touted to be one of the best players in the world. Fnatic and Envy, well, they're very familiar with Rock Monkey stealing the show. 15-4, I believe in that win they had, Nick. We were casting in Vegas. He was pretty much usually a 4-1 in terms of kills and deaths. He's pretty close.
Out-damaged by Rubu's Barrack, though. He'll never let anyone forget it.
I mean, it's Barrack, dog.
It is. The god himself.
Your favorite champion and
the legend.
The legend. The cream gravy.
Healing basically even here because of the little contribution made from Bugsy.
Oh, this is
Furia
aggressive.
is going to be a little bit behind here. Rock toying with the idea of jumping in, but unfortunately, Pacheco catches him.
Right after, of course, the recovery. That is a huge deal because, of course, the mitigation, the damage mitigation meant that Pacheco did not kill him, although the health numbers were correct. Mr. Hayes staying alive, just walking a tightrope there, and it's Pacheco who's trying to finish him off, and it's going to be all of Fnatic falling. Again, don't get too excited if you're an Envy fan because this is just Fnatic fully resetting. Plenty of chances for the Europeans to retake.
They've got the Overpower as well as the Inflame, but Overpower can be difficult to use when there's no kill volume for Bugsy to work with here. He might have to just pull somebody out of the front line for a sacrificial lamb type of kill, but he is teetering with the idea of going towards the kill volume.
It seems like
And
maybe
Rock just rides away.
And look at the time it's taking for him to get there because he's looking for that overpower kill. I think the best play is for Bugsy just to isolate someone and ask for the splash damage. But how can you do that when Rubu's buying so much time? Just gets deleted, maybe overcommits, and now Fnatic full control and moving on.
You know, Evan, when I see a shell spin like that, I assume it's because an Ancient Rage is not far behind. But he's not even close to it. The Immortal is going to try and hold down some of this high ground.
King Bomb.
Pacheco has his counter. Random Noob is not interested. Going deep this time around. He's learned his lesson.
Went to lazy old school there and wasn't happy with the result of his diploma. 93%, 99 now for Fnatic. Overtime ticking away. And here's the overpower. Can he get Rubu off? Is the shell spin there? It's again. Rubu avoids death. Bugsy, however, saves the point because that's a turtle, although alive, not on the objective. Fnatic 3-2 in the lead.
He buys so much time. Random Noob comes over to help. He gets Commander's grab. Bugsy just buying all the time in the world for the boys in black and orange to get this one underway yet again.
And Fnatic and Bugsy are absolutely happy with that play. It is the right decision in their minds because it doesn't look for the kill, it looks for the stall, it looks for the push away from the objective, and it ultimately gives them what they're looking for. A chance right now to claim game 1 in a best of 3.
Wow.
On what I would assume is their map.
Binder wins a 1v1 there with Rubu, and now Rock Monkey's lost half of his HP. Impulse is up in 2 seconds, Evan. He's going to be eating that burst.
Oh, and this is bad. 55% already pushed. A minute and 40 seconds, but will they even need any more than a few? As that's a Commander's grab as well, and the commanding lead has been grabbed by Fnatic. This is a complete turnaround to what seemed like an extremely competitive game.
I mean, the battle shot there from Bugsy gives CC immunity to 3 people on Fnatic. The Dread Serpent does absolutely nothing there. Pacheco just looking for a target, swinging out at the walls here. 1 minute and 16 seconds if Fnatic even fail this push.
Uh-oh, that's a big deal, and there's the bill, and it's already Mr. Hayes getting low. Pacheco diving into the backline, trying to come up with a healer on the side of Envy, and he doesn't get it, and there's Theo down. Random Noob and Envy may, as a result of that, stalled enough. But whew, not a long time to take a breath. Still 55 seconds left. I try to just stall this kill or these kills out as much as possible.
It's costing Envy a couple of ultimates to get this defense, and like we said, 1:16 on the clock at the start of that fight, so Fnatic have time to take this fight over again. 15 and 8 for Tenor. He's been phenomenal on the Cassie so far this tournament.
17 and 8 for Rock Monkey. You see why they call him the best, but it doesn't mean that Bittner is any too far, at least, behind.
Nice shot.
That man is Rock Monkey finishing off Jero, which is going to put a damper in this push, but Bittner right there ready to respond, almost takes him down. One last shot will get damage mitigated and will force Rock off the high ground.
Fishing a barrow there for Mr. Shani Boswell. It's too easy getting the headshots when you're shooting directly down on Nagara, and that literally loss of support there may have been Fnatic's last chance. They're trying to get in here, but this is going to be a stretch. And are we about to just witness the same movie over again?
Yeah, I mean, it might be, but it's just such a good Rock Monkey, I think, rotation. And here's the King Bomb. Can it finally land? And it seems like, yes, he has graduated at least a little bit. Rock Monkey, Tolkien, Random Noob, and the rest find value off of that Bugsy with the hook. And the emphatic kill, 3 all down. And the defense successful, tied up, heading into round 4.
I suppose I'm okay with that there. You know, the King Bomb hasn't been getting a ton of value earlier in these point fights, so using it to just maybe put your foot down and hold the defense there, get it done and dusted isn't a bad look for Team Envy. They have a lot of other high-value ultimates, but they have to be so careful about actually getting value for those with the battle shout and just the reaction times of Fisheko that we've seen thus far.
Yeah.
Envy have missed a lot of value in the ultimate economy.
And just things, little things, I think, have been separating them. You saw right as the battle shout goes, he actually ends up trying to hook him, and the hook misses, obviously, because he's CC immune. And he knows that. It's just one of those in-the-moment things that you can't afford to slip up. Sometimes that's the difference, as we saw last set as well, between Burrito and Na'Vi, sending Na'Vi to the grand finals. One of these teams trying to make it to compete against Burrito, who have dropped to be their competition if they win.
Fnatic fell to Envy in the Las Vegas exhibition fun superstars esports nonsense
Global
tournament we
arena.
had. And that was Envy's first win. Nice snag on the overpower there. Actually yoinks Random Noob right through the wall.
They got to check that wall.
Offering up the sacrificial lamb.
Need some patching.
Yeah.
some physical
There's
labor.
a hole in the drywall.
Yeah, there's a hole in the drywall. We need to patch that up. Expanding foam. I don't know if they have it here in the realm, but Envy certainly have 60% on the objective despite that pull. And the overpower, although it finds a kill, it's a big ultimate and it's just 1 kill.
30 to 60% now. Here comes Seismic Crash.
Oh, that
He'll
doesn't
get
get
a
much.
couple of stuns. It's not any follow-up. Not even close. Here comes the Ancient Rage as well. Gara's looking to get up high with
And
Inflame.
he drops down!
Get it.
Oh.
Doesn't have the legs.
But he's got Khan, Nick, and that's all he needs. Khan, he get back, though, and keep the healing up. Rubu with a beautiful zone. Shell spins back to the team. 84% now and counting for Team Envy. 90%. It's a dive with a commander's grab from Bugsy, Nick, and it's a jump, a whirl onto the point from Fisheko. But will it be enough, even though the Cherish heals come through?
Overtime is now burning down in favor of Team Envy. It's 99% to 60. Thiel is here. Thiel's getting some
King
good
Bomb.
healing, but off the top rope. Here
Hello.
comes Random Noob. It gets countered out, but not before it slays Thiel.
And I think that's gonna do it. It seems that Envy have grabbed the victory in game number 1 in this best of 3.
What a turnaround for Team Envy. It did not feel like they were in control of that game. This is a best of 3 set. Fnatic have no more games to give. They have got to turn on the heat and keep it on.
And that is I mean, you talk about turning on the heat. At that point, it was a cold start. So they somehow have a hookup with the AC department. You know, they got a hookup that we don't have, because I swear I'll be hot in a room and they'd just be like, there's nothing we can do for you, man. There's no AC in there. I apologize.
That's a big bounce back from the boys in blue, man. I got to give all the credit in the world to them. I thought Fnatic had that one about wrapped up.
Yeah, that really looked convincing from Fnatic, and I think there's no way I would call them out of this set. That just seems like a little tweak, a little different thing goes right, and maybe they push that in. Maybe it's a completely different story heading into the next round or the next game. Let's send it back to the desk. Alan and Vox, what do you guys think about how that transformed?
A lot of patience, I would say, was kind of the key for Envy, especially late in that game, but throughout, for particularly the Buck, played by Rock Monkey, it worked out this time.
And that's always the key with Buck, is that you take opportunities. The threat of Buck comes from your positioning, comes from people knowing that if they don't focus you down, and if they don't watch out for you, then sure, you'll be able to take them out. It's not necessarily the instant burst kill threshold that we see coming through from champions like Cassie or Bomb King. And speaking of, Bomb King also an absolute powerhouse for Envy, especially right at the end there. Went unchecked by the Cassie, went unchecked completely, not even pulled in or addressed by the Khan at all. Very difficult to deal with.
Well, the big thing was the positioning from Random Noob, especially on that last point where he was sitting up on top of those little rafters just beyond the sundial. Who's going to hit him? Cassie has to find the perfect angle.
Direct cover. You have to be forced down to these little corridors, these little openings to be able to hit the Bomb King in that angle, or walk right up into their face. Neither of those is particularly favorable, because if you walk into a tight space, then Bomb King goes, all right, well, I can't not hit you with my sticky bombs.
Right. The big thing, you know, as you take a look at Envy, there were so many points. That third point that somehow Fnatic was able to sneak away from Envious. there's just so much little positioning things here and there were so many moments, I think, for Rock where he was jumping up onto the high ground but not actually diving in. He just jumped up, took a couple of peek shots and said, hey, look at me, which allowed things like the Fernando Bomb King combo to kind of roll around. Rock played an incredible game, very patient, very safe for a lot of it, but again, it was safe in strategic ways where he was able to have an impact, be a part of the kill feed here and there, and you start to hit the train whistle when you have things. Look at this. Look at the peel he has in front of him. He's got both frontliners there. It's just easy damage, able to come back and find those split apart targets. It's really, really good penetration from the front line that's helped Rock Monkey be as successful as he has been.
And especially in that little part that we just saw previously, that defensive spot on Serpent Beach where you can traverse from low to high ground. Very few champions that are being played at this LAN can really follow you up there. Maybe a Maeve could be, and we've seen at least one Maeve this tournament so far, but not a popular pick.
Yeah.
And from there, it just gets so difficult. And right here, harassing the Cassie. She can't get through. She's peeled away from the rest of her team. Easy kill. And then straight back to the grind to maybe deal with the Furia.
Yeah, it's just, again, everyone in that instance starts to kind of fade back into you. Thank you very much. But the big thing is when he does make those choices, you can see him working with Rubu and Tolkki to kind of force their way through, like kind of like a natural dive comp would be. Just push, just get right into like a bulldozer. And when you have someone hitting the train whistle behind with the Buck Wild and all that damage just keeping it funneled out.
That's a perfect situation.
Yeah.
You can't go Buck Wild unless somebody's drawing fire away from you. We've seen what happens too many times, forced into an immediate recovery and no damage, folks, but that was only map 1 shift, and it went 4-3.
And it is only a best of 3, so Fnatic with their backs up against the wall or their tournament might be over. We're about ready to move over to see where we're going for map numero 2. And my goodness, there are so many options on the table in these best of 3, it really could go anywhere. And it looks like we're going to be heading over to Frog Isle.
Alrighty then, that'll be an interesting one. I can't wait to see maybe how the picks will impact this, as Khan will definitely be a priority ban. It's Frog Isle. If you leave them open, Fnatic just plays their strategy again. Otherwise, I think that possibly we're looking at Drogos here again, because that's been such a power pick for many players on this map. Good point denial with combustible fire spits, and with the peek and poke safety playstyle that's been so popular with this Drogos pick more recently, even against a Lian, you're not quite as vulnerable.
The other thing to keep in mind, it was Fnatic who busted out the Ashe on this map, and a couple of teams have actually since banned away Ashe along with snipers or the other kind of flavor bans for Frog Isle, and it will be both Strix and Kinessa taken away. Ashe is available. Not exactly, I would say, the most heavily prioritized pick in the world, but it did pay dividends last time Fnatic was here. It will be Drogos, though, first and foremost, starting off the actual drafting phase for Envy.
So Fnatic now, they have a few opportunities. Buck becomes immediately available. We know what Tenna's like when he gets his hand on that champion, the Unyielding, as well as some frontline picks. Makora, of course, is open, although Fnatic haven't been prioritizing that quite as much so far. It doesn't work out quite as well with their 3 DPS composition. Barak instead seems to be a bit more of a tilt in the right direction there, and Buck is locked in, or at least hovered alongside Makoa.
And Makoa will be, in fact, locked first and foremost, and Buck quickly afterwards. And again, Makoa has really, as they were saying in the interviews earlier, had not been paying off so much. But when you start to get to these, I mean, we're top 4 teams right now in the world. You know, debatably, the last 4 teams left, and the Makoa is definitely showing why it's usually banned away.
Right, it's not performing quite as well with less experienced teams, should we say. When it's paid maybe with a Fury and Flame and Ancient Rage, it does some work. Maybe we'll see a Swift Spirit Small Dumper come out as well, but Cassie and Fernando locked in for Envy might be going for double frontline. I'd like to see this style of composition come through from them. It's where they feel more safe. This does allow Fnatic to possibly draft a triple DPS. I'm expecting, well, they're lacking in core damage right now. They could be going for a Geonosin Bomb King to round out their lineup, but that leaves a solo Makoa. That's not exactly a reliable frontline for holding solo Frog Isle.
Especially with the Drogos on the table, that could instantly
just kind of one punch and you're down. So looking at Envy now, Fnatic up to draft, might see the Inara prioritized here, as that would be your point hold and the Makoa as your aggro frontline. Maybe the Ashe as well if you want to go super aggro here. And if you're running that, do you strip the Damba?
It's tough because I think you kind of need the Damba. You know, this is Envy's map choice as well, so yeah, I'm kind of looking for someone to really punish a little bit more, like a Barrack that has good DPS, or an Ashe that can very quickly go from front line into, well, either your own or your opponent's backline. and it will be a Damba to kind of, I guess, probably help that. I imagine we'll start to see some kind of Swift Spirits in the loadout just to help the Makoa keep up with the mobility of Ashe.
So Envy now, they have the Genos left as your sort of primary healer here. We did see Grover come out on Stone Keep where you can play around the Cathedral with a big Efflorescence heal, but I'm expecting something a little bit more standard coming through here, Shift.
I don't know. We've seen Saris a couple of different times from different teams, specifically on this map. G2's ran it. And wow, would you look at that? Maybe it will come out this way. I mean, especially if you're going to run the double front, that's probably your only option as far as keeping both of them alive, which it looks like with the Inara hovered and then locked in, that seems to be the mindset.
And that'll allow point tank to point tank as well for Team Envy. They're going to be stronger in terms of frontline. They'll be able to contest for longer. And with Drogoz and Cassie, you do have plenty of damage. Will that be quite enough to be able to dissuade Buck, though? There's no Genos of Void Grips or something, which have often been what really hold this Buck at bay. And if Fnatic now decide to draft, for example, a Xin for the super flank potential, they could very well decimate Team Envy's backline on their map pick and leave Fnatic open just to destroy their tanks with no support.
Yeah, you know, that's actually one element of Genos that we don't talk a lot about. We usually, when we talk about him, it's Luminary, Luminary, Luminary. But his ability to Void Grip a jumping Buck, an Ashe who's trying to assert dominance, or even, for instance, if it was a Xin just kind of holding him in place. But nope, it's going to be the Leon. And again, I think they need this just as a way to continue to put pressure on the Drogoz.
Right, it does a lot of good stuff with Drogoz. It's also very good because the innate anti-heal if you're running into Death and Taxes, which is nice when you're playing against a Saris Shift specifically. It is a bit surprising not to see Bomb King come through here as well, but I do feel like the Leon augments the draft better for Fnatic. Might look to see some early Envy Havens, though, in response.
Well, take a look. It is a best of 3. Envy up 1-0. It's their map pick. You would think that the tides are tilting in their favor, but anything can happen on this tug-of-war map. Let's send it back to Nick and Evan to see how the call goes.
Thanks, Alan Fox. I think this one is going to be one for the ages, too. But it's a dangerous proposition because this is Envy's map, we found out, Nick. So they actually won a Fnatic's choice.
There you go. And I mean, Serpent Beach traditionally has been a good map for that core roster of Gera and Bugsy. They have a long, long history on the map. That was one map that they did not perform on back in the Masters land. It's unfortunate. Again, you got to say the way that went for Fnatic, they win 3 points straight. And when it matters most, Envy grabbed the most important objective of the round.
And you know what? You can't say that that didn't happen multiple times in the tournament for a lot of teams, to be honest. I think we've seen that go to G2. We've seen that go to Na'Vi. We've seen a lot of different opportunities for teams to clinch against high-level opponents. And all of a sudden, that third, final point, there's a little bit of a switch-up. Frog Isle here. And it actually is telling me that it's a very 4-0 potential map. So they better be careful as they head into what could be Fnatic's last game of the tournament.
Bittner's on Makoa. That's not something we're really used to.
Yeah, nah.
Deal's the only Ashe player on this side of the Mississippi. So desperate times call for desperate measures,
You know, I've actually, now that I say that, I'm on a different side of the Mississippi. I'm usually on the opposite side. And Random Noob, Rock Monkey, and Rubu do exactly what, if I was Fnatic, I'd be really worried about. They win, and they win fast on a fast map.
While sitting on the objective all the while, already a 60% lead.
Uh-oh.
Fnatic go for a very, very aggressive dive to the backline to try and get this Saris, but it just does not work. Falls flat on its face. 96%. Envy are going to scoop that objective before Fnatic know what hit them.
Yo, they scooped, diddy whoop, they pooped that objective, man. Not just a scoop. That was all other types of onomatopoeia.
Gotta do it justice.
Gotta have to scoop, diddy poop. And, you know, Kanye would be proud, and I think at this point, there's really nothing mixed up about this. It's just what Envy do. This is like, the only thing that's weird is the Saris. It's Random Noob on his classic champion. It's Rock Monkey on a bow character. It's Rubu on Fernando. It's like Tolkien on a Stagala. This is just their wheelhouse.
Versus Thiel on Ashe, which he's done. Bittner on Makoa, which is, I don't think, ever been done before. Fisheko on the Buck, which is not exactly standard. Bugsy on Leon. Outside of Gera on Damba is about the most standard thing here for Fnatic.
Dude, this is like ridiculous. They are steamrolling through Fnatic. They haven't been able to hold it all. This is another full wipe. Are you kidding me? Everyone expected this game to be completely different. I am shocked at how much Envy are dominating.
Envy is the 6th seed in this tournament.
I believe so.
And my goodness gracious, they are not looking like it. They are looking like they're the favorites to win this event. 1:16 on the clock left. Here comes the seismic crash. Fnatic trying to do something.
Now they have to use their ultimates, and that's a big kill from Fnatic onto Rock. Finally taking him down, and I think you're going to start to see the cookie crumble here, Nick. With 1 minute and 4 seconds left, Rubu, although he's alive, fighting Fnatic, it does seem like it's becoming a harder target to get, and he's buying himself with his team more time as a result of the player advantage they now have, and it will be the first stall of the game for Fnatic.
Ooh, trying to hit that
Nice
fireball. Grabbed right back onto the high ground. Tenor not missing a beat. Not missing a dredge anchor there either. 44 left. Fnatic, plenty of resources to work with. Envy, a couple of their own, but at this stage, I don't know how further down they're looking to put themselves in the ultimate economy.
You can't say that they're not playing well, I mean, but it's just a really interesting, maybe out of the comfort zone. And for guys like Fnatic and Bittner, who have been criticized, you know, whether silently or publicly by some of their teammates to say, hey, we need you to show up. We need that youth to turn into experience now if we're going to win. To put them on such uncomfortable or maybe unusual picks, I'll say it that way, feels like a very interesting call from the side of Fnatic as an Immortal, and a couple of wipes. Looks like this could be a push.
Envy fancy themselves a 2-0 lead here. They're going to spend for it as well. Fnatic have everything available to them. I don't know if they're looking to try and hold this defense or just go into the next round and see what they can do. Dragon Punch is all that remains. But not only is this a risky draft from Fnatic, but the way they are playing, it's not unlike them, but it is very predictably aggressive.
And it makes me wonder if there's a way to recover. And this is why I was so worried about this map for them. You know, wanting Fnatic to make this a set, it's very difficult now that you're 2-0'd. I mean, you have one more chance on a map like Frog Isle. Otherwise, the 300 credits now that they've earned, it's going to turn to 600, and it's going to pretty much be GG.
0-5 for Bittner on the Makoa. 0-5 for Thiel on Ashe. 0-10 across the front line for Fnatic. Not a good look, whereas you look at the 8-3 slash line for the Team Envy front line. They are having their way with this map at the moment.
And I mean, this would be quite interesting here to obviously see Envy against Burrito, but there's so much more Paladins to be played as Bugsy makes a mention of that, finding the kill on a random noob. And now this is a big push from Bittner. And it's Rock Monkey, you can't get out alive. Comeback mechanic in favor, but Tolki's still on the point. And that comeback has not even started to tick over. It's 39% to Envy after that fight.
This is a very staggered win for Fnatic, and that's a good thing for them because they have the comeback mechanic. They've already erased the lead that Team Envy has worked to build. They still have 4 seconds before Rubu has even respawned.
Oh.
And that does look like Random Noob disconnected.
Doesn't that look like what we just saw? Like, that's what they described happened in the earlier game?
Or he just sort of...
Yeah, he just lost control.
Bops forward, and, you know, obviously that's not a high-level maneuver coming out of Paulie there.
I was like, oh, man, some tech right there. It's like,
if I don't look at them, they can't look at me.
Where's he going with this? oh, he's just running into a wall. Okay. I really thought he was really going somewhere. That's funny, though. But I think now, if you go back to just as for people watching the whole tournament, you go back to that pause that Phoenix had with Burrito, you see like, okay, that's probably something similar to what happened. They recognized the movement and said, okay, yeah, that definitely is losing control. It's a really important moment right now, though, and I believe we're going right back into the game to see how it transpires. Must have had control, and Random Noob is ready to fire the salvo. Game back up and 85% for Fnatic.
I think that's going to be about done and dusted on the objective. Comeback mechanic is going to see to that. Fire Spit comes out, but there was never a rocket in time. Fnatic, adjustments made this time around, and they are dominating at least for now, and they really don't even spend a whole lot for that. They spent a Buck Wild, a Dread Serpent, and the Enlightenment was just spent, so that wasn't even used through the first 2 fights.
And this is an incredible turnaround from Fnatic, and of course, you see a team with this caliber, you can never count them out. They have a moment that they need to perform. By God, they perform. Taking that point now, pressuring in the left side. A couple of pop shots here from Fnatic's Fnatic. Hook in.
I don't think he has a shield. No, he's gonna eat that headshot. Hayes has to bounce out of this one as he is low as well. It's a great fire spit, a great couple of fire spits there, but it doesn't juggle anyone off of the map. Getting pretty low here. That fire spit was a critical one, and it clips the wall.
Yeah, that would have knocked maybe them off, at least forced a shell spin, and you got to say that's resource allocation in our favor. Shell shield comes up, and he goes back away. Thiel, does he have the assert dominance? Yes, he does. Can opt for it here. If they don't push this, though, they've still got time to recover it, so I don't mind him going in for it, but they're just going to call it off.
The beef battle happening over there between Rubu and Bittner.
Thick boy.
Gonna have to retreat out of there. Fernando gets to his team, and it's gonna be a clean hold for Team Envy. Fnatic very, very wary about how they want to use their ultimates here. There was a couple of opportunities.
Yeah.
I don't think they've popped an Ancient Rage yet, and we are almost 8 minutes into the game. Maybe it's Bittner's inexperience on the Makoa, or he just has a very clear black and white goal for what he's trying to do on a champion he's not exactly familiar with.
I think that's it, and you don't want to make a mistake like popping your Ancient Rage at a difficult time when you're playing that champion, taking the onus, which usually goes to Thiel and is played perfectly upon yourselves here as a newer or more unusual player in this pro scene with it. Jera finding some really good support, and Tolki still holding strong as the Rocks do, but it's Fasheko finding two in the background. Bugsy looking to find another one. The wall goes up. Mr. Hayes still alive and healing, but he's getting pressured into the shadow travel. I think this may be it. Fnatic looking close to pushing it in.
Is this a perfectly efficient offense here from Fnatic? The healer is forced back in the base. Rubu's doing everything he can.
Nice.
His hands are shaking. He's wiggling, but he's still getting taken down. Fnatic managed to get it through with not an ultimate spent.
If you ever wanted to know how to do the wobble, that's how you do it right there. Nice tech, but not nice enough.
That's that new tech.
There's a lot of new tech we're learning in this game.
What a bounce back from these boys, though. I mean, they had it basically wrapped up in game number 1. Got exploded in the first round of game number 2. But to Envy's credit, they did not crack on the trigger discipline of ultimates either. They have all 5 going into this round, as do Fnatic.
And I mean, if I'm Bittner, I'm fine. I have a bad round, then we have a great round. I'm like, fine, let's do it. That means we're even. I could start fresh. It's 2-2. Nothing in the past matters. I know I've got to win this game. And he's determined, very much like his loadout here with 4 points into the card. Oh my God, I almost threw up.
That was close there. Tennis playing with our emotions for sure. That hook's not going to land. Bounce right off the Fernando shield.
Oh my God, what a Dragon Punch combo with the Immortal. That was perfect team synergy. That stuff you can only build by trust. And that's something you can only build by everybody being in the same spot. Beautiful convergence by Mr. Hayes. Thiel in the back line wants to find the Dragon if he can. That would be huge for Fnatic. But it seems like he's being overwhelmed. The double kill from Rubu. Envy already with 72%,
wow.
Nick. They just need 20 more percent. And they're moving on.
That feels like a just magical fight from Envy. How do they get that done with Tolki on the point the entire time?
I can't believe it. Overtime is here. They're scrambling. Fnatic doing their best, but Tolki, the Sagala, is standing strong. Bugsy sliding into the background, looking for the Scion of House Aiko to maybe make some overruling of what is happening here, but Rubu is just unrelenting, and Thiel's health is slowly falling.
2 seconds on the Earthen Guard. Tolki's popped it. That's a ton of healing amp, and Envy will lock down that objective and start the offense, start their campaign towards knocking Fnatic out of this tournament. 1 round stands between them and victory.
Not just 1 round, Nick, 1 point. And they have the momentum, and you saw every team essentially that's captured the objective is pushed 2-0. That is not a good stat. If you are a Fnatic fan, Fasheko gets bursted down. Thiel gets knocked away, but so does Rubu and Tolki. Incredible kinetic burst there by Thiel to knock off the 2 front lines.
There it is, trying to get involved, trying to get this kill on a random
and
noob.
Again,
he just succeeds himself off the map there. And we have some credits to spend, a couple of ultimates to use as well. 4 now as Rubu is just going to get his Immortal due to the static buildup. Nimble 3 is online. He is going to be very stick-to-itiveness in the back line.
I like that word. I'm going to use it. Very stick-to-itiveness. Hell yeah.
That one's free.
That one's free. All right, next one cost me.
Yeah.
I'll be waiting for the broadcast.
I've got brawl ability and stick-to-itiveness.
Oh man, you know what? If you would have made comfortability, I would have been paying a lot, a lot of revenue to you at this point in time. But that goes to my man Paul Raby Santoro. Shout out to you, brother. And a shout out here as well to Rubu, who has a beautiful, beautiful shield and a fireball to finish off Thiel. That's gonna be tough, Nick.
Only the Dragon Punch remains in the tank for Team Envy. They maybe got a little bit ahead of themselves here. Still 50 seconds to rebuild these ultimate charges. Bugsy's going to die to that fireball. Fasheko doesn't realize who's waiting for him. That Dragon Punch comes out. takedown for Sheko.
Combustible Drogos, 46 seconds left. I'm not worried about him getting it back, but yes, it was a weird call. I mean, maybe he just got a little bit of help from Rubu, help from
They
his
get
friends.
this kill on the Theo. This is looking
Like it's it.
smelling like conversion.
Yeah, well, you never know. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Something my mama told me.
Fnatic, they lose
But they look to be
tenor.
hatching.
Uh-oh, Evan, I don't know about this. Gara has to pop his ultimate because you can't save him for next game. There is no next game.
And there's an enlightenment, but there may not be anything enlightened about Fnatic's early disappearance from this game. We've got the spectating of Drogos' butt here in this moment, but it's no butts from Bittner. He played Makoa. He didn't quite get what he needed. The assert dominance is the only thing that would save them here, but it's not available, Nick. It's overtime, and it's Envy going into the losers finals, knocking Fnatic out of the tournament.
And they're feeling good about that one. Fnatic, yet again, another undefeated online split. Comes to a very unceremonious close as the boys just can't get it done in Alpharetta.
And this has just got to hurt. You know, you see these guys, and we've known a lot of these guys for years now. And I think the way they were so dejected outside, you feel like that's coming, and you feel like there's just, you feel for them, man, because they put so much into it, and it's the same story every time.
You know, we talked a little bit, we never got to air this interview, but they said, you know, we focus too much on playing other people's games and we should just focus on playing ours. We do better when we do that. They take a number of risks in this game here and it doesn't pan out.
You're right. It did feel like not a traditional Fnatic draft towards the end there. And you have to be questioning, you have to be wondering. Envy obviously in an amazing moment move on to face Burrito, and I don't think people would have expected Fnatic to be out of the tournament this soon, let alone drop to the losers bracket so quickly. What an incredible way to, you know, finish it up though, a 2-0, winning on Fnatic's map to make this even possible. Envy play out of their minds, and good credit to them. They will be moving forward tomorrow. To wrap it up for the day though and break down that game and that set, let's send it back to the desk with Alan and Vox.
An incredible set it was, and Envy, man, there are some moments where we really question the boys, but right there, no questions whatsoever. They performed much better than Fnatic did on that Frog Isle map.
And I feel like a lot of that is to do with momentum, folks. They'd already gained that from earlier in the day, and now they're just riding on a high. They had already kind of gotten their strategy sorted, recovered from last night, knew what kind of drafts they wanted to look towards, and again, the execution on Frog Isle was phenomenal. Sure, they took a spill in the mid-game, but able to recover from that shows not just sort of between round adaptation, but mid-round or mid-game adaptation now, which is a very different kettle of fish.
Without a doubt.
You ever heard that phrase before?
You're right.
That's a British idiom. That's a common phrase.
Yeah, you're sounding like a British idiot something. Let's go back, though, to the Ceres. Okay, so we were talking about this during the draft phase, and this really paid off a lot, but the enablement to keep the front lines in the game really kind of spoke levels to me.
It did, and Rubu just did work on Fernando that entire game, was able to create so much space. It was a harassment tool in the backline specifically, which is why you draft this Inara-Fernando combo. You want your point tank that just sits on point and goes, all right, I'm here.
Yep.
I'm large, I'm occasionally stone and square, and you just can't move me, and then Rubu just gets to do this kind of thing. Also, counter-engage right here coming through was so useful. Fireball deals a lot of damage, folks. You can't really underestimate a Scorch, and
Fish was looking to cool off there from that fire.
Fish was looking to go back home.
Yeah, without a doubt.
With the fishes.
A lot of really clutch plays, I would say, just generally. And, you know, Rubu really has been a staple for me when it comes to knowing when to transition from being a point controller to being that really penetrating force in the back line. Just able to, again, get that Incinerate online to where we get those big fireballs and tons of fiery energy as well from Rubu there at the end. I mean, how could you not feel that after a performance like this?
Especially after being sort of released from the burden of people thinking that you're the one that put dish soap in your dishwasher as well.
Yeah.
Team Envy, they got plenty of suds in their hands. They're ready to clean up, and clean up they did shift.
Without a doubt they did, and they're going to have to go up against Burrito next, which is going to be absolutely insane.
It's an interesting one because if Envy are able to take this set, will they do the whole momentum story again?
Yeah.
That's been what Envy have done since the Vegas LAN. If they can get on a roll, they stay on a roll shift, but they're going in straight up. First set of the day versus Burrito.
It's a tough one, but of course, feelings of elation. They are now for sure one of the best top 3 teams out there internationally. Let's get some words from the boys in blue about how they're feeling after that performance.
Well, we're here with Envy, and you know, you didn't have Furia's blessing. She was banned out in that last game, but you apparently have Phoenix's blessing as he's allowed you to wear the traditional winner's garb. This is a amazing moment for you all, and I just want to talk about, you know, what it feels like to be the #1 seed killers.
Feels pretty good. It's a pretty good feeling. It kind of sucks losing them online, but coming here at LAN, it's like a whole different environment. Like teams like Burrito are just way stronger because of things like ping that just aren't there anymore because of LAN. So it's just a new environment. It's good to prove that we can take them down.
When you see that draft locked in the final game there on Frog Isle, and then you load in and you see it's Bittner on Makoa, what adjustments are you guys looking to make on the fly? Because that is far from a standard thing for Fnatic to do.
Yeah, honestly, I pressed tab and saw Bittner on the Makoa, and then I was just informing my team. And my team's the one that were saying, like, hey, they're still very good. Let's take them as seriously as, say, if it was like Dio on Ko or whatnot. So we still took it as seriously. I just reminded them by saying, hey, it's probably going to be a different tank style. It's going to be different habits. It's going to be different just play style altogether. Let's just take it seriously and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that you guys are extremely serious, and you play through adversity so well. That's one of the things that sometimes makes a champion, and it seems like you guys always have this run through the losers bracket, and you found your way back again to the losers bracket finals. What was it, do you think, about this run that's been momentous for you? What about this tournament has been different or has given you confidence in the fact that you're able to go this far?
Well, this run kind of reminds me of Vegas in a way, because last Masters line it was less PPL teams so early, but this time it's like boom right there. You have to go through PPL teams to get through all the way to the top. We had to first face Clown Fiesta, which no joke, they're very good as well.
Every team here can win. It's crazy. Everyone's skilled.
And now we have to face Fnatic and now Burrito, and you saw how Burrito just what display they put off. So every team is very, very strong. So,
well, congratulations, guys. A great victory, very resilient, especially in game #1. Very well deserved. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Heard it there first. You can't underestimate anyone, and now we're dealing with the top 3 teams overall. Goodness gracious, it's going to be set up for a monster matchup tomorrow, but let's take a look to see how our last 3 teams have fared so far and how they've gotten to this position. Of course, Na'Vi, even though they weren't able to get through the PPL finals, they've made themselves a rather flawless run throughout this summer finals performance here against the PGS squads of Kanga, and then, of course, against Envy, and then just earlier today, the 3-1 versus Burrito. And on the bottom side of things, G2 falls out early. Fnatic now falling out, leaving us with just Envy and Burrito. One of the two of them will join Na'Vi in the grand finals. I hesitate to ask, but I have to know. Do you have any predictions so far, Vox?
Depends how many warm-up games Envy get on in. Can they get the momentum up and rolling? But I think, honestly, I gotta say Burrito. I've got to root for the LATAM. I don't think we can call them underdogs at this point. They went up and boxed with Na'Vi, and Na'Vi did take them down, as we saw again at the Paladins World Championship.
Yep.
But they've proven time and time again that they are very much so potentially a top 3 team, and have proven that in the world.
Yeah, and speaking of in the world and back to World Championships, why don't we look forward to World Championships just around the corner at this point.
2 in 1 year shift.
2 in 1 year. That's the double bonus, but you do have to pay for both. I'm sorry about that. Smite World Championship, Paladins World Championships. Of course, the console series will be back once again. That's all happening at DreamHack Atlanta from November 16th through the 18th. Tickets on sale now at highresexpo.com. You're going to want to get there because, my goodness, you're going to be seeing a lot of these teams, I'm sure, coming back again. But that's it. For Vox here, for Nick, Evan, Gabby, and Gore, and all the production team, I've been iHoldShift. And until next time, can you feel me? I hope so. Keep holding it down. We'll see you tomorrow.
Looks like you're changing it all.